Stay informed, stay healthy, stay empowered. Topical discussions from nutrition, mental health to fitness to family planning and battling chronic illnesses with top professionals, expert advice, and practical solutions to today's most pressing health issues. We bring you the knowledge and tools to take control of your health. Only on Global TV. Breastfeeding, they say, is crucial for both the mother and the baby. It provides the ideal nutrition for infants with antibodies that protect against infections and diseases. Now, for mothers, breastfeeding helps with postpartum recovery, reduces the risk of certain cancers, and promotes bonding with the baby. It's a natural and beneficial process. Hello and welcome to Health Guide. I am Jumai Manson. Today, it's all about the importance of breastfeeding. And I am not doing it alone. I am being joined by Dr. Osabohe Matthew Okon. He's a public health researcher, health content creator, member of WHO FIDES Network of Health Influencers, metabolic medicine practitioner. Stay tuned. The program continues shortly. Stay informed, stay healthy, stay empowered. Topical discussions from nutrition, mental health to fitness to family planning and battling chronic illnesses with top professionals, expert advice, and practical solutions to today's most pressing health issues. We bring you the knowledge and tools to take control of your health. Only on Global TV. So, Dr. Osabohe Matthew Oko, you are a public health researcher, health content creator, member of WHO FIDES Network of Health Influencers, and of course, metabolic medicine practitioner. You are welcome to Health Guide.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now expatiate why there is importance for a mother to breastfeed her baby.
First thing I would like to say is that, the breastfeeding is a very low investment intervention that can be done with very, very high return on investment. There's a reason. There's a lot of push behind the need for women to not just breastfeed their babies, but to exclusively breastfeed their babies because of the importance of breast milk to the child. And I know this is one thing that is not very that people may not be aware of. You know that it is actually a crime to advertise baby formula in Nigeria.
Really?
Yes, you can go and look it up and check with NAFDAC.
We're going to come.
You are not allowed to do because of the importance of breast, so that people are not unnecessarily swayed, from doing what is needed. The breast is designed, to nourish the child, right? So that is essentially what the mammary gland primarily is for. And there's a reason why that is the case, because of the nutrients that it contains. Practically everything that the child needs up to when that child is 6 months. That is why they say even water you shouldn't give to a child. Yeah, so until that child is 6 months and start taking what we call complementary food.
All right, Dr. Osabohe, what are the nutritional value or benefits for a child to be breastfed by the mother?
Okay, so like I had listed earlier, right, it contains all the nutrients that the child will need. But however, now the importance of this is that it promotes proper development and growth of the child, right? The antibody components of it helps to keep the child or protect the child from some ailments, including diarrhea, asthma, pneumonia, even chronic conditions later in life, like diabetes, obesity, and all that. So those exactly. So those are some of the. Mind you, I'll get to that just so that I don't forget. It is not only beneficial to the child; it also does so for the mother and the father. Even though people don't talk about that much, but I am going to talk about how it's important for the father as well. But back to the child, I did talk about development, right?
Yes, you did.
Children who are breastfed have better brain development than those who are not. Right? I use the word brain development because I think people will understand it. But what is normally used that they have better cognitive function. So, and For you to achieve that, you need some level of development to be able to get that. So that are some of the important benefits of breastfeeding the child. When you come to the mother, again, just the way it protects the child from amen, protects the mother from ovarian cancer, breast cancer. Because you heard this, say when you breastfeed, that breastfeeding protects you from having breast cancer. And now we add, I know for your viewers, just for viewers, the fact that an adult is playing around with the mammary gland does not confer that protection. What does is that because as you are breastfeeding your child, breast milk production, during the process of breast milk production or throughout that period, estrogen and progesterone are inhibited, right? Their level is low. So that low level of estrogen keeps the mother protected from the effect of estrogen, which is a contributory factor to breast cancer. So that is how it protects the woman from breast cancer, not just because somebody is sucking on the breast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now you mentioned the man. Now, how is it beneficial?
Okay, so now we have talked about how breastfeeding keeps the. Now for the woman, apart from protecting her, right? A woman who begins to breastfeed as soon as she can after delivery, usually within 1 hour. Now, whereas what we call postpartum hemorrhage, right? And the womb needs to contract, needs to get back to shape. When you breastfeed, right, stimulates the hormone that encourages the womb to contract. Now that contraction also helps to stop bleeding and prevents the woman from what we call postpartum hemorrhage, in addition to what I mentioned earlier. So imagine a man who has a child and a wife who are healthy. The man is not running from one hospital to the other because the child is sick. So the man is emotionally stable, he's psychologically okay. So he's not worried, right? He's also not thinking about how he's going to get money to buy baby formula. I mean, you and I know how much baby formula costs these days. So this man is relaxed. He has the time to focus on his business. He has the time to focus on his work. He makes more money, right? He's not running from pillar to post, looking for how to get money to buy formula, or how to take the child from one hospital to the other, or how to care for the mother who is not feeling well because he or she, rather because she is not breastfeeding and then has one issue or the other. So that's basically is how, from my own point of view, right, is beneficial to the man as well.
Of course. Now, how long can a woman breastfeed for? We hear some say 6 months, some will say a year, some say 2 years, some will say 3 years if you can. So what is the stipulated time for you to breastfeed and you are good for the development of the baby?
Now, so there's one thing that is standard, which is that you do exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life. Exclusive breastfeeding, no water, breast milk only, as often as is required by the child. But however, at the very minimum, every 3 hours, breastfeed the child from both morning, afternoon, night, right, around the clock. It is not easy, right, but there's nothing that is worthwhile that comes easy. So which is why we also talk about support system for the woman who is breastfeeding, to make sure that she's able to do that. So the recommendation from the WHO is to, after 6 months, you add what we call complementary feeding, right? So, but you continue to breastfeed. The reason you add complementary feeding is that at that age now, the breast milk is no longer able to sustain the child.
Exactly.
So you need to add complementary food. In addition, you continue to breastfeed that child until at least 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, I like to say we are practicable, right? Like you have said, because after 6 months, there's really no set standard, so to speak. But 2 years is what WHO recommends, and beyond, if you can.
Let's talk about mothers who do not lactate. How do they go about it? And they really want to breastfeed their babies, but they're not lactating. Can they now do the complementary food like the formula, like we mentioned? Will it affect the baby in any kind of way?
So first of all, well, when you say the woman is not lactating, so it needs to be a little. Okay, so let me put it this way. Let me just take everything together. Some women may find it difficult to begin to lactate immediately after delivery, right? But the breast begins to be prepared for breastfeeding right from early in the second trimester. The body begins to prepare the breast for lactation and breastfeeding. But I mean, many times you see a couple of women who are not able to begin to lactate immediately, like maybe 24 hours after, 2 days after, before they begin, the breast milk begins to flow properly. However, there are people who that we call lactation specialists, right? Whose work, that is what they do. They train and work with the mothers to be able to do. But generally, when the woman is not stressed, the woman is eating adequately, and very importantly, because over 80, close to 90% of breast milk is water, right? Yes. So that means for you to be able to do that, the woman needs to be well hydrated. So in addition to not being stressed, eating properly, she needs to be very well hydrated. So once all these conditions are met, it's only a matter of time, provided the baby is being put to the breast frequently, right? It may be frustrating for the mother and the child, initially, but at the end of the day, the issue of breastfeeding or breast milk production is a function of demand and supply. So as long as the baby is suckling on the breast, the system will be activated to begin to let down milk.
All right, let's talk about women who believe that breast milk is a source of contraceptive. Some women say they will breastfeed as long as they do not get pregnant in between. How true is that? Because I've seen that they say it's a natural birth control. Is it safe? Is it something that one should worry about, or it's a norm and it's normal?
So there's what we call lactational amenorrhea method. Now, if you look at the chart for different contraceptive methods, you see lactational amenorrhea method, listed there. However, it is only for a limited time period before the woman returns, or before the woman's menstrual cycle returns. Now, for as long as the woman is breastfeeding, and remember, it has to be exclusive breastfeeding. Very important, exclusive breastfeeding. If you are not doing exclusive breastfeeding, that does not apply. So if you are doing exclusive breastfeeding, then it is protective up to like 4 months. For some people, it may extend. May extend beyond that. Yeah, but usually the advice is not to depend on that after beyond 4 months, really. But yes, it is a recognized method of delaying pregnancy, provided you are doing it the way it should be done, which is you are doing exclusive. You're not giving the baby water. You're breastfeeding the baby every 3 hours or every 2 hours. Whether morning, afternoon, night, around the clock.
Now let's talk about the advantage and the disadvantage of extraction of breast milk, putting it in a bottle and refrigerating it to give the child at a later time. Are there any advantage or disadvantage when it comes to that particular method of breastfeeding?
So generally, I would say, it has everything going for it. It's advantageous, right? Because it means that if the woman is not at home, somebody else can, give the baby breast milk when the woman is not there. But again, that is the reason why there's advocacy for giving women extended period of leave, maternity leave. So we have a law that made it up to 4 months. What is it called? The discussion is now out there for it to be extended to 6 months. I think Lagos State has started the issue of 6 months, right? So it's just to make sure that the woman is able to be supported enough to well enough to breastfeed. Now the problem with pumping and storing is, one, you need to make sure that the breast milk is stored properly, right? So if it is not stored properly, that is where the problem is. But so long as it is stored properly, in under room temperature, maybe up to like 4 hours, right? In the refrigerator, you can stay for a couple of weeks. Then if it's that's in the fridge, right? Normal fridge. But if it's frozen, it can stay for as long as 6 months. So if it is so once it is properly stored, I don't think there are issues. And then the container is cleaned, so that you don't transfer any infection to the child. It's just the fact that it makes it easy for somebody else to give the child breast milk when the child needs to eat. And of course, if you are putting it in the fridge, you need to make sure that you bring it out and it gets back to the right temperature before you breastfeed, or before you offer it to the child.
Now, for some women, I've heard some friends of mine who say that I am breastfeeding, and at the same time, the child is stooling. The child is having complications here and there. that a mother who's going through that, what do you think she's doing wrong, or what is she doing outrageously wrong that is affecting the health of the child? And is it possible to breastfeed and then the child will stool and all of that complications combined?
So at this point, I know it may be a little hard to understand, what the person means by, complication, because children differ, right? So, and if you say when you say stooling, you say that the child is having diarrhea, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, children at different times would, have issues, but the bottom line, like I said earlier, is the you need whatever is the state of health of the child, you need to continue to breastfeed the child. Now, the breast milk confers
Even
on
when the child is having diarrhea.
even when the child is having diarrhea. If you go, breastfeeding cannot be taken away. What you need to do is to continue to breastfeed that child when the child is having. Now, there's something I did not mention, right? When a child has an ailment, don't ask me why, but this is what happens. The breast milk, or rather, the antibodies required by that child to fight that ailment begins to be expressed in the breast milk.
Really?
So this is how this nature is just so that there's we can only try the most that we can as humans to understand what is going on, right? So we still have our limitations as humans, but I am telling you that the breast milk begins to express antibodies that the child requires to fight that ailment. So that's one reason why women are encouraged to continue to feed the child, while you now bring the child to the hospital for the doctor to now check and find out exactly what is going on. Because the fact that you are breastfeeding the child, if you are doing something else that you shouldn't be doing, then there's likely going to be a problem, right? So and of course this is breastfeeding that we are talking about, but we know that part of what you still need to do is, make sure that your child receives all the necessary immunization to protect. And one of the immunizations that is given is rotavirus vaccine to prevent diarrhea and all that. So just to say that, the fact that the child is unwell does not mean that you should stop breastfeeding the child.
Now let's talk about some mothers who are going through the process of their child not liking the breast milk. They've taken it for 4 months and you want to be exclusive when it comes to breastfeeding. What can the mother do? Can she force the child, or can she just stop and supplement like you mentioned? Or what can she do? Because there are so many mothers who, there's some kids that don't even like breast milk and they just want to eat real food and move on.
Funny enough, somebody asked me this question, I think that was 2 days ago. When you finish exclusive breastfeed, the child no longer wants breast milk. I think the thing is, the idea is to do what is ideal, right? If the child begins to refuse the breast milk, maybe you now need to check, okay, is there something that is off, that you're doing differently, that is not making the child to refuse? Because children are different, they all behave differently.
Yes.
So especially when it comes to feeding. So I think the thing is to look at what you are able to, what needs to change, or what you can do differently to continue to, what is the English now? Encourage the child to breastfeed. But where you have done all you can and you are sure there's nothing, going wrong, and the child continues to refuse to breastfeed, then you need to find alternative to that. The child is not going to starve because the child has refused to breastfeed, right? Even as we talk about exclusive breastfeeding, like you just mentioned, women who don't lactate for the first 2 days, the child going to starve for those 2 days? No, the child definitely have to take something.
Exactly.
So you now need to do what needs to be, the child has to be fed. If it means, expressing the breast milk and, putting in what you need to feed the child with, by all means, you go ahead and, and do that. Provided that you are not looking for an excuse not to breastfeed the child.
All right, we are looking at the importance of breastfeeding. Of course, Dr. Osabone is here and he is breaking it down for us. But let's quickly go out to the streets and hear what mothers, fathers, or individuals have to say about breastfeeding and the duration of time in which they will prefer to breastfeed their baby. Do not go anywhere. Health Guide continues shortly. Stay tuned.
Yes, it is. For me, 1 year, 6 months. I'll advise them to try to keep up to that 1 year, 6 months, because that is the adequate time to breastfeed a baby.
For 6 months minimum, because I have a clear understanding of what exclusive breastfeeding really does for a child. And with few weeks of experience, so to say, I've seen the impact of breastfeeding and exclusive breastfeeding, so to say. It also helps to minimize the illness of a child. It gives the child, the baby, all the immune, it builds the immune. Whatsoever the baby wants, the baby gets that from the mother's breast milk. So if the mother can extend breastfeeding, exclusive breastfeeding for as long as 6, 8 months, even a year. I see some people doing breastfeeding, exclusive breastfeeding for as long as they can carry. And that is very, very good. It helps to build the child's brain. So I really support exclusive breastfeeding. And for myself, my wife does her exclusive breastfeeding. And we are planning and looking at how we can focus on that exclusive breastfeeding for at least minimum of 6 months just because of her job. So if her job permits, we can go beyond that.
This question is interesting. We're trying to find out the importance of a natural process. The way God created people. It's like asking what's the importance of my 2 legs. It is certainly to carry me around. Breastfeeding is the natural nutrition for a baby. Because it's natural, it's perfect. And when we will now go back to ask, what does it add? And certainly it adds a lot of things. Because it's a natural thing, it is the perfect food for the baby at that point that will help the nutrition and nurturing of the baby, prevent the baby from diseases, help the baby.
All right, you are welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Healthy Guide on Global Television, talking about the importance of breastfeeding. And like I mentioned before, I have Dr. Osabohen here with me, Osabohen Matthew Oko. He is a public health researcher, health content creator, member of WHO FIDES network of health influencers, and multiple medicine practitioner. And he's here breaking it down to us, explaining to us the importance of breastfeeding. Dr. Matthew, thank you so much for welcoming us and into your space. Now let's talk about something very vital. Now, what are some common challenges mothers face while breastfeeding?
One of the questions that you asked earlier, I mean, some women may not lactate, right? And then we often see people who think that, who have this fear that they may not be able to produce enough milk, or some say they don't produce enough milk and they attribute it to the size of the breast. The fact is that the size of the breast has no relationship with how much milk you produce. So I just need to put that out there. So that is one worry that women often complain about. You have people who, of course, when they breastfeed, they tell you they have pain, or some may tell you they have cracked nipple and all that. So, and these are things that have to do with technique, right, of breastfeeding, because the baby needs to latch properly in order to be able to successfully breastfeed your child. So, and I mean, the advice usually is, now, irrespective of the fact that you have this challenge, you need to continue to breastfeed the child.
Despite the pain of the cracked nipple.
So, all you just need to do is to try, make sure that you keep the nipple clean, right? And then you can do compress here and there to relieve the pain, or take a pain reliever. You still need to breastfeed as much as you can. So
let's talk about the duration for breastfeeding. Like, I know the left and the right. Some says one breast is bigger than the other, or some say the child prefers to suck. I don't know how true it is. They prefer the left breast than what is the duration as a doctor? What is the recommended duration to give the child breast milk?
Usually if you hear people talk about 15 to 20 minutes on each baby. The idea, or you need to make sure that the breast is empty, before one breast is empty before you move to the next one. Part of one other challenge people complain about is that the breast milk is not enough for the child. And after breastfeeding, the child still continues to cry. Now, what we have noticed is the fact that these mothers do not allow the child to empty one breast before moving to the next. Now, the breast milk that women express is in two components. We have what we call a foremilk and hindmilk. Now, oftentimes, when people begin to breastfeed, you see that that breast may begin to express milk, right? And then you change the baby to that breast. Now, the problem with that is you have not allowed the child to empty that breast, and then you put on this other breast. You also, after a couple of minutes, the child is full. What you have done is that you have fed the child with the watery part of the breast, because the fore milk is essentially more of water and some lactose. Then the hind milk is where you have the fat and the calorie that keeps the child full. That's what we call the hind milk. So unless the child empties the breast and gets that, the child is likely going to cry after a couple of minutes, because you just fed the child water, so the child is going to get hungry again very soon.
So wait, Dr. Sabonia, when a mother is breastfeeding her child and then the other breast begins to extract, you just leave it, or what do you do? But what I think the right thing to do is to quickly change to the side that is because it's very funny when you see this sort of thing, because immediately you tell the child quickly.
Yeah, because that is. It's just instinct, right? You just want to, but ideally that is you need to empty this breast before you move to them, because otherwise, like I said, you run the risk of
that's something new. I'm sure someone has learned something, because most mothers, that is what I have seen that they do. And then what we do, once you're breastfeeding this child, and then the next thing you know, this other breast starts to extract on its own uncontrollably. The next thing you do is to quickly move the child to okay, so you just allow, because that is not it doesn't contain much fat.
Yeah, so yes, you need to empty the breast first. Make sure that the child has gotten everything. Both the fore milk and the hind milk. So because that is without that hind milk, then the child will not be sustained.
Yes, exactly. Now, with the economy now, and we talk about exclusive breastfeeding, and a lot of people will say, Dr. Sabon, what are you saying? Do I need to break a bank? Because you mentioned that you must be well fed as the mother, because you're taking in something in order to give something out. Do I need to break a bank in order to be full as a mother before I give my child the breast milk, in order for the child to be full?
Oftentimes when we talk about healthy eating, people just think, that it must be expensive, right? Eating healthy does not need to be expensive. It just means eating the food that you have in close to its natural state, as close to its natural state as possible, limiting processed food. That's basically what we're talking about, right? So we have all manner of fruits in Nigeria. Year round, you have different foods at different times. Same thing we have with vegetables, right? Same thing. People are able to eat food as much as what is available to them. The idea is just make what is available to you as healthy as possible. That's basically what we're talking about. You do not need to go break it down. But very importantly, do not forget is the issue of hydration. Because that is what is required, right? So the woman needs to be properly hydrated if she is to successfully breastfeed her child.
Now let's talk about women who do not know how to position their child when it comes to breastfeeding. Some will say it's better to hunch back. Some will say you have to sit properly. But most women don't really know. What is the right technique in breastfeeding a baby?
So a couple of important things. One, you as the mother need to be well supported. You need to be properly seated with your back, very well supported. And then you hold your baby to yourself. Because when you bend, you're straining yourself. So that is why people, they tell you they feel they have pain when you breastfeed. So you need to be, properly supported, you yourself, right? If you need to lean, then you need to get something to at the back of your chair to make sure that your back is well supported. That's very fundamental, right? And then you need to make sure that the nipple is well inside the mouth. The the mouth of the child cannot close around the nipple. It needs to close around that dark area, the areola, right, around the breast. So that way the nipple is well inside the mouth of the baby, and when the baby, pulls, the breast milk goes directly, inside the mouth of the child. So that basically is what you need to do. So that latching is very very important, and the fact that the woman has her back very well supported with her feet, of course, resting on the. So the major this is just being properly positioned. That's just what needs to be done. That is something that should be discussed during ANC. This is something that should be discussed during antenatal clinics, and the women are taught. So maybe one of these days we need to come and see antenatal class in Gibona Women's Hospital.
I will. Now, talking about posture and how to sit when it comes to breastfeeding, I've seen some women who lay down one side and the baby's on the bed, and is it dangerous to do that, or it's good? Because it's not easy standing up all the time when you have to breastfeed throughout the night. So some women would just prefer to lay down one side and then breastfeed their baby. Is it right?
No, so you can breastfeed your child lying down. It's convenient for both baby and mother, right? So it's convenient for both baby and mother. The only caution would be that you shouldn't do that when you are tired, especially at night, so you don't sleep off. So there have been occasions where you hear that somebody slept off, and then probably because at that tender age, babies do not have control of their neck. So if for any reason the breast is now on the child's nose or something, then the child is not able to move away. And if the mother is fast asleep because she's tired and she fell asleep, then it could become something else. So otherwise, it's a very comfortable position for both mother and child that can be adopted.
You have to be awake.
But you need to be sure that you won't fall asleep.
And sleep is something that's a reflex action. It cannot be controlled. So I think it's better you just stay seated to be on the safe side when it comes to mother and child. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Dr. Osabohe Matthew Oko, for being a part of Health Guide today. And of course, Dr. Osabohe Matthew Oko, he is a public health researcher, health content creator, member of WHO FIDES network of health influencers, and of course, he is a metabolic machine practitioner. Thank you so much for being a part of Health. Now, look at the camera. Speak to a mother who is struggling to breastfeed her baby because of the pain, the stress, she's tired. Say something to her.
I would like to say, just hang in there. Nothing that is good or that is worthwhile comes very easy. We need to make some sacrifices, but you need to know that you are not alone. So you have people who are out there speaking for you, and making sure, advocating for better support. And we hope that you will be able to get the support that you need in order to breastfeed your baby as you would love to do.
Without much further ado, now we understand the importance of breastfeeding and the bond it brings between mother and child. So it's very important that we make it a habit, 6-month exclusive breastfeeding. But of course, he said something very crucial, that you can actually supplement after 6 months, or if you can, 1 year, 2 years, you can still breastfeed because of the goodness it brings to the child when it comes to the development of the brain and the body. Now, thank you all so much for being a part of Health Guide. I am Jumai Manson. Have an amazing day ahead. Bye-bye. Stay informed, stay healthy, stay empowered. Topical discussions from nutrition, mental health, to fitness, to family planning and battling chronic illnesses with top professionals, expert advice, and practical solutions to today's most pressing health issues. We bring you the knowledge and tools to take control of your health, only on Global TV.